gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Comrade! Labor right, them a go down, bong. Them a go down, bong. Them a go down. Is that? Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. We now vote for Labour. Orange we a come out in now. If you love the PNP, who no step out for Marky G. Jamaica just come along with we. People time come, people time come, people time is up.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
Yeah, I say that we are. Pledge your allegiance.
Who's gonna run this town tonight?
Yeah, I say that we
We gonna run this town.
Make the trumpets play. Make the trumpets play.
And the Domestic Violence Act. I was on that committee at the time. A lot of work was put in. Numerous representations were made by stakeholders who are interested in the issues of violence against women and children in particular, and other vulnerable groups, such as persons with disabilities. That report was produced and recommended a large panoply of amendments to those statutes. Nothing seems to have been done to take those matters further in terms of actually legislating those changes. And this is years now I'm talking about. But in particular in relation to the Domestic Violence Act, which directly relates to the matter at hand today, that committee felt quite strongly that the Domestic Violence Act was insufficient as a legislative framework to address the cultural and sociological, economic, emotional issues that surround gender-based violence and domestic violence in particular, and that it needed to be looked at more deeply, not just from the point of view of criminal offenses and so on, but the whole issue around how victims of such violence can be supported and can be given redress through a system that is sensitive to their needs and the realities in which they live, including often where there's some financial dependence on the violence perpetrator. And Madam Speaker, my question is, when will we see that in-depth review of the Domestic Violence Act take place? I would hope that it would be through a process which would include the public and stakeholders who have an interest in this issue, including members of the opposition, and also the other much-needed raft of reforms that were agreed in that Joint Select Committee process, but which have seemed to have seem to be lying dormant and fallow. I'm anxious to hear the response to that.
With the explosion of the internet and access to online shopping, consumers can buy personal items from overseas and have them shipped to Jamaica. These are items that are not produced here. This has spawned a new industry of firms that bring these goods into Jamaica for online shoppers. But unless the items are less than $50 US in value, that's 7,500 Jamaican dollars, import taxes are charged on the full value of the purchase. The import taxes on goods valued at over $50 US are burdensome on consumers who shop in this way to achieve greater value. I'm calling on the government to increase the tax-free value on these imports of personal items from $50 US to $150 US. It will make a real difference. It will make a real difference to consumers who need to reduce the cost of living to them by using these new opportunities that modern technology and modern logistics have made. Corruption is rampant at the highest levels of this government. You will remember during my budget presentation when they tried to prevent me from saying some critical things about governance, even shutting down the sitting of Parliament. Well, I went on the street and I said what I had to say, and I will say it here again. The failure to disclose the identity of the so-called illicit 6 MPs who are under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment remains a festering sore, only made worse by the Prime Minister's gag order on cabinet ministers speaking publicly on these matters. But wait, comrades, I have to rewrite that part because it is no longer 6. It has gone to 8. So let me say it again. The failure to disclose the identity of the so-called illicit 8 MPs who are under investigation by the Integrity Commission remains a festering sore, only made worse by the Prime Minister's gag order on his cabinet.